Back with another Design League playthrough, and this is another one of those ones I've got to redo, unfortunately. This one had all sorts of music over it as well, which I think is just, it was muted on my headphones so I wasn't listening to it. It just kind of kept coming through in the background and picking up on the speakers internally, or I don't know. Seems weird. Anyway, we're with now. Apologies if the name is wrong, but it was hard to work out where to break the words. I'm going to go with shaderivenmyst, but it could be shaderivenmyst. I'm not entirely sure, so sorry. Really cool look though. We're in steppe. We've got a little bit of a mountain range over here. We've got some water in the middle, which defines the course nicely, and a couple of these little ridges, and then some sand dunes over here. So, like, subtly different stuff going on, which I'm a big fan of. Clearly in our 800 by 350 area with a driving range outside, but we're not counting that really. Like, fine if you want to put it there, it's just not part of the contest per se. And a little clubhouse. So we're going to lip down to the first tee. Now, there was lots of this I liked on first play. I'm playing the same pin just so I can pick up on the same things. I think textures wise, the first thing I picked up on was the light rough is very dark green. I'm going to presume it's come from a different colour palette to the fairway because the transition between the two is pretty stark. Generally try to keep these two the same. It's okay if your heavy rough's a slightly different colour, particularly if it's this brown one. You get kind of burnt out heavy rough where they haven't been watering it, and fairways where they have. That makes sense. But the light rough just almost looks like that's been watered a ton more than the fairway, I guess would be how I'd explain it. So that jar's just a touch. Green texture looks fine. Generally, a good piece of advice would be to stick with the same for light and fairway, and green you can change a little bit. Heavy rough you can change a little bit, but the moment you start dotting between all sorts of different texture choices, like number 1 fairway and number 2 green and number 3 light rough and what have you, it starts looking a little bit more disjointed. Planting wise, I think was one of the other things I picked up on. Like, I honestly don't think you need all this grass. It's quite a dry, arid environment, and the grass, as you'll see, like when we zoom in and out, it doesn't draw from very far away, so you get this like spattering effect, which is best avoided if you can. Honestly, kind of feel like just don't have the grass. It's desert. You don't really need it. The ground cover and the bushes work well, but there doesn't tend to be a whole lot of grass there. Now, where I would have planted a little bit more would be the waste bunker. Just, you've got some planting, but it feels very confined to these little islands, and doesn't really, like, joining them together I think would work well. And typically with waste bunkers, just putting some, as you've started to do here, just go a bit more with it. Look at courses like, I'm trying to think of a few. Lost Preserve would be one. I'm blanking. Blind Rabbit had some really good waste bunker planting. There's quite a lot. Just look at how they do that, where the planting just leaks in. Yarra, I did it quite a bit as well. Now, talking about the golf hole, I like that you've given us a lot of space to lay up. This has been kind of a feature of this contest, where we've got opening par 4s that are pretty gentle. You can kind of choose your risks. So I could choose to take driver on down here, but I don't really trust my tempo. Or I could bail back here a little bit more. I think I might actually take on driver today. When I did it earlier today, I didn't take on driver, and it's very playable if you hit 3-wood. So now hit into heavy rough, and that's a little bit tougher. I think we can land something on the green though. I mean, you'd hope. And short of this pin is fine. Oh, that might need to sit. I didn't think that would come out so hot. But yeah, like, I think the hole works well. Green slopes are subtle. Could maybe use a little bit more movement, but an opening hole kind of works. I think the rocks fit really nicely. I particularly like, we're about to see this next par 3. I think those two work really well. Now, one thing that did grab my eyes, you have this path coming here but it's not actually going to the fairway here, and yet when we go to the next one, I think just be consistent. If you are doing this, you've kind of got to do it everywhere and not just avoid it on certain ones. Planting again, really good. I like the way you framed, like your choice of the little coloured plants just only popping in a touch works well. I love the barrenness out here and the fact that you haven't put much there. I think that works really nicely. Now, one thing that I would say about the first couple of holes, you've got the water in a perfect place. You just haven't really made the most of it. So you've got this first one that's playing out towards the water with the green, but the green's kind of like 15, 20 yards away from it. So you're only really using it as a visual backdrop, and we can't really see it all that much anyway from the fairway. Then the second one, you've got this par 3 smack by the water. Like, think of your favourites like Augusta 16, 12, like holes. You want to make me challenge that water to get close, but at the same time you've got this slope that means that I'm going to play further away because it's all funneling down here. Whereas you can't really put a pin here, you can only put it there, and if that's the case, you kind of want to tempt people to play as close to the water as possible. I'd suggest losing this slope and flattening it out a bit would work a bit better. As is, I'm probably going to hedge my bets anyway, knowing the way we started, and the fast felt likely. I mean, I like the idea of this hole. I just think you use what you got. You're 90% of the way there. Oh, unfortunately, I made that putt earlier. I had played this hole basically exactly the same. I was hoping I was going to do it again. Okay. So again, like, you've got the water all the way up, but it's not really a factor in how I play the hole. Whereas if we'd made this, just shuffle this fairway over so it's tucking right up against the water. I love this bunker here and where you've cut it so that I want to be hedging my bets down the left hand side. Moving the fairway over would give me an even better angle in here, although probably still diagonal this a touch more. This one's into the wind, whereas when I played it earlier I think it was crosswind. Can't quite remember. And I do remember having a bit of a sightline issue from over here, just short of the bunker. Just couldn't quite see everything because of how you had the green sloping down, 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 and then bunker kind of up, and it's yeah, it's there. It's just hard to explain without actually being able to show you the shot. Sorry. There's a shot. That will do. Again, planting really fits. Oh, I could have sworn that was in. Oh well. Still, not too bad so far. So then we have this hole, and this one kind of confused me because I remember playing this first time. Well, we'll play it now. First of all, do you think your cacti are kind of getting in the way a little bit down here? You've got a landing zone here. If we look at where potentially landing, and as you can see, those kind of block our view of where the fairway is. General rule of if I'm looking in and there's something grabbing my eye that's blocking playable surfaces, I'll try to move it if I can. So the same would be true for this rock here. So if we're looking at this and you zoom in and you just suddenly see when the camera goes up, you just see this extra bit of surface, and if we can get away from that, that works a little bit better. Now there's no real chance of laying up here because the fairway's narrower for 5-wood, 3-wood than it is for driver, which seems slightly odd to me. And to compound that, it's not only like, so you're encouraging me to hit driver, and I then have like an 8-iron into a par 5, which isn't, I wouldn't say it's heavily protected, it's just, I don't know, I didn't get this hole. I feel with a short par 5, you've basically got a complete green light as a, that's an awful shot. As a designer with a short par 5, you've got complete green light to chuck as many hazards really around the green as you want. Like, you can make that play as tough as you like, because you're saying to the player, like, it's 500 yard par 5, you're going to be able to reach it, you might as well make it really flipping tough. But you haven't really done that on either approach or on the tee shot. That's 100% a par 4, just a long par 4 in some winds for sure, but I think you have to factor your hazarding in with your par as well. Same comment on the cacti here. Most of this sideline is stunning. Just this one, like, it's right in front of the pin as well. Think how good that sideline would be if we couldn't see that. You'd be able to see all the way through. It'd look great. This fairway is more heavily defended than the par 5 we just played though. I might need a little bit of help. That's light rough, it's okay. I think maybe one more. That's an atrocious shot. I like the rocks that you've done, and I love playing at this mountainside. I think that works really well. Honestly, I felt this when I first played the course. There's really not that much. Like, there's certainly not much big stuff that I didn't like. Come on. Oh, well, we dropped that shot straight back. Yeah, and then we finished with this one, which was a little bit of a head scratcher. Because again, you've gone really short par 4, like so short that I'm playing. It's not even that it's not drivable, it's like, it's very much drivable, but there's no reason not to go at it. Because it's surrounded by light rough anyway, which won't play particularly punitively. It's just, you might as well have a go. Which is a bit of a shame, because the other hole design's been solid, but this one I just felt that there are two of the holes on here, the two short ones relative to par, I just didn't really understand. Because there are layup options on there. There's just no reason to ever consider them, because hitting the green is so, or getting close is so trivial, and if you miss the green around the green, you've got to make that an absolute no-go zone. So yeah, for the most part I really liked it. There were a couple of things that I would have done differently. I think I'd have brought the water into play more. That would have really helped you. Like, on your short par 5, let's bring the water in landing zone, let's bring it in around the green, let's make that green really small. Like, that would help you immensely. With your drivable par 4, I think either that's a par 3 and you make it a bit shorter, or it's a drivable par 4 and you ramp up the challenge massively around the green. Otherwise, really liked it. Like, it's a really good step course, and you've got the look down perfectly. So yeah, sorry I had to redo this one, and hopefully I didn't forget too much. And more than anything, hope it's useful. Best of luck.